3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the ZAR Athletica podcast.
Hi.
Hello, Nica. Thank you for being here. It's been a minute. You're back.
I'm back.
What's been going on?
Lots and lots of stuff since the last time I was on. Lots of things.
Lots.
Yoga has completely consumed my whole life.
Amazing.
So the last time that I came on the podcast, I was kind of in the middle of marketing coaching and doing some of my old work in my marketing role. Now it's completely yoga. So yoga, Reiki, group classes, private classes. That's about it.
Okay.
Love it. I love my job.
Sounds so good. Why did you make the jump? What made you decide
I think the more that I got into working with people and just seeing how powerful yoga is, once you kind of get into that whole spiritual world as well, it's really hard to go back to something like marketing where it's a very, very analytical thing. So in terms of teaching marketing anyway, so I was trying to teach other fellow yoga teachers about marketing. In my old job, I would have to write things for real estate agents and it just wasn't in alignment with me. So I decided to use those marketing skills that I learned and that I know to then market myself instead to help and continue to teach yoga because that's what makes me excited. So it was just a reshift of I guess, things that made me feel happier. So they still are there. They're just repositioned in a different way. So really streamlining everything.
Streamlining everything.
Yeah, streamlining and finding things that makes me feel happy on the inside out.
Amazing.
Yeah, and you're serving other people in the best way you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You're doing teaching group classes.
Yes.
And you're teaching group classes everywhere in Newstead,
yeah,
which is
Newstead is really fun.
I think it's really good. I love how you haven't exclusively tied yourself to one gym or one training facility because I don't know if you know this, but I think through your work you're bringing the gym community together as well, which is nice because that then helps other coaches and other gyms understand that you don't have to be nasty with other gyms, or you don't have, it's not like us versus them.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that I learned from just working different places, whether it's you're teaching out of a gym or a studio or another yoga studio, everywhere is different. The member base is different. The vibe of the studio is different. The way you teach, you may be teaching a fast flow, but the way you approach it can be very different depending on where you're teaching at. And so I look around at all the classes, all the communities I'm a part of, and I have all these little pods of communities, and it's the best thing ever because for me, connecting to people is my number one value. And so having these little pockets all over just makes me feel so full. And then seeing everyone and actually connecting to them on a really personal level as well. So it's very different. There's no need to compete. Yeah. People are going to naturally find the place that they feel the most at home at. Maybe it's not the place down the road, but it is the other place. So there's no need to compete, and we're all in the same thing. We talk about this all the time, how important it is to just allow everyone to live a healthier life and be that facilitator. It doesn't matter how we deliver it. The coaching can be completely different, but the end goal is the same.
Yes.
Connect people and let them live a healthier life so we can be healthier as a collective. And in turn, raising the vibration, all that stuff. But, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more because we're all doing it in different formats,
yes.
right? One person could be teaching Pilates, but if they're dedicated and being the best teacher they can be, they're going to help transform a lot of people in that realm.
Yeah.
Yoga's the same, gym is the same. It could be bar, it could be
everything.
It could be
so
boxing,
many.
It could be, it's all movement at the end of the day.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll find your community, the people that you vibe with, and sometimes timetables, different timings.
Yeah.
That's one thing, but also where you feel like you can just be you and really get the most out of your area and space.
You mentioned that you teaching some yoga coaches, marketing and different tips and tricks. So have you wrapped that up and you're fully obsessed with yoga now, or are you still doing a bit?
I wrapped up some stuff at the beginning of the year. Actually, it was really funny because last night I got an email, someone booked in a discovery session that I forgot is on my website that I need to take off because I'm not doing those anymore, and that never happens. And unless I'm actively doing running a course or promoting something. I think it was just I had too much on my plate, and it was starting to get diluted. So I'd be switching. I think at the peak of it, I was still working 1 day a week for my old job, which is selling a real estate software program and doing marketing for that.
Okay.
I was helping a client in marketing, and then I was trying to teach my group classes, trying to get a little bit more involved in the private yoga. and still doing Reiki as well. So you have to switch your brain so often between all 5. I had 5 different things. And although I look at everything that I was doing and I'm like, what is this? Marketing, Reiki, yoga. What is the connection? The connection is connection itself. So connection to yourself, connection to other people. Marketing connects you to everything else. But in terms of my workload, it was just too much, and I had to let things go, and I had to really look at, okay, what is it that I can do that makes me deliver my best foot forward as well, so I can serve the best, but also what do I enjoy? So I was very fortunate to be in a position where I can look at everything and choose what I want to continue with, what I want to double down on, what I can let go, and maybe come back to later on. So coaching marketing is definitely not finished, it's just not the priority.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, like, my goal, like, later on is to really double down on, like, building a personal brand, because that's what I did to be able to connect to all these different studios and how I got my classes on board. So when I looked at everything, I was like, oh, it was my networking and relationships with people that got me a lot of my classes. So it worked. You just have to, you never know when you're going to come full cycle.
It's crazy
like what happened to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely nuts how it works. Like, we used to work together, over a decade ago?
Yeah, literally.
In a commercial gym.
Yeah.
And then it's like, hey, you're in Newstead. I'm in Newstead.
Yeah, I
Hey,
was like, why are you guys...
what the heck? What's going on?
I was like, why do you keep training in Newstead?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So it was really cool. And same with happened at facilities and everything like that. And at Harlow especially. So the hot yoga studio, I used to go there years ago when I first got into yoga. And I was like, oh man, I wish one day I could like walk down to the studio, live in the city with like my yoga mat, blah, 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 but it's so far away. That's literally my reality every day.
Yeah.
And I'm teaching that. Like, it's crazy
Yeah.
how much you can, like, I think manifestation is a big thing. Like, we talk about manifestation all the time, but I think visualization, hard work, and when you know exactly what you want to do and you put the steps into it, you can get there. It's just, it may not look like the way you expected it to.
I'm lucky to be working alongside you because I get to just observe and sit back, our team, and hang out with the whole squad, right?
Yeah.
And as I observe you doing what you do, like, there's an element of like magic. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, our athletes and our members come in, they bust out their yoga session with you. But I feel like it's a heck of a lot more than yoga, right? Because they walk out happier, like you're walking out like recharged. I see you bouncing with energy after your yoga sessions. And I think it's just a testament at the end of the day of a coach being obsessed with their craft, you know, in this case, yoga. And then I think when we make that jump and go, okay, I'm all in now. This is what I do. This is my life. I think we learn so much more. Our energy goes through the roof. We're able to sustain and keep helping more people and work on a lot of these things.
I think you become a lot more empowered and confident.
Yeah.
Because earlier on, like say last year, I've only been teaching yoga for like coming up to a year now.
Yeah.
But group fitness, as you know, like for a long time. So the teaching part wasn't anything new, but defining what I did as a job. So earlier on, people would be like, what do you do? Like, I've already left my 9 to 5. It's okay, I'm no longer a marketing manager. So what are you? And I was like, I teach like blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, well, I couldn't define it. And now someone asks me, I'm like, I'm a yoga teacher. That'll be my first thing. Yeah. And I also practice Reiki. I'm a yoga teacher and a Reiki practitioner. That's it. And then if we talk a little bit more, I can explain some stuff. But to be able to say, no, I am fully stepping into my power of being a yoga teacher, and I love it. It's great. There's so many of us. We're all, like, the yoga community in Brisbane it's like there's so many teachers going through and graduating all the time. And the yoga community in Brisbane is very connected. It's another bubble, like everyone knows everyone. And there's a lot of support as well. So we go to each other's classes, we support each other, we cheer each other on, we go to different workshops. And
so nice.
Yeah, of course, there's always, depending, as like all industries, there can be competition, but you kind of, if that's not the direction you want to go, and that's not for me, as we were talking about before, I'm more about collaborating. And I think coming from the background of starting within the yoga industry, of wanting to help other yoga teachers grow and build their communities, it literally makes me so excited when I see my friends doing things and achieving and kicking their goals, even though technically we could be considered competitors. Like, every other yoga teacher is a Reiki practitioner as well. And it's like, no, but I'm going to support you and we can swap, we refer, or just support each other. There's no need to compete. We're all different.
I love that about the yoga field. I wish that one day the gym game can get on that level. Because right now, and I'm happy to continue working hard to build those relationships and like open doors. And I love when other competitors or like friends in the gym game open the doors, and then we can hang out and be friends and, like you say, refer to each other. And it's like when a member of the community walks in that might not be the best gym for ZAR, I can easily, and I do that most days, most weeks. It happened this morning. Members of the community will come in like, oh, well, for whatever reason, we might not be the best fit, but go to this place, go to this place, go to this place. And
it's the best being able to refer someone else to another friend. And if we look at it like we're all in the same industry, and obviously we're going to have the same interests, and we're going to be vibing on a similar level, because there's a reason why you do what you do, that other person's going to love probably the same thing. And why you got into this like industry, they've probably it's probably their reason for getting into the same industry too. So no need to compete.
I think from my observations, I could be completely wrong, but I see you practicing different movement all the time. Like I remember way back in the day, you would be doing like step, and then you'd be doing body balance, and then you'd be doing like different style of Les Mills training, and then I'd see you like in the gym doing like some cardio or doing some. So I think. And recently, right, like you're doing boxing, you're doing like you're doing circuit training, you're doing some powerlifting stuff with us. So I think you immerse yourself in movement, so it allows you to help people on like, yes, you're helping them deeply with yoga. And I think in addition to all of that, it gives you an understanding of movement, and I think as a yoga instructor and a yoga coach, you're a bit more relatable than the in my eyes, which is very foolish, the traditional yoga coach that's like never done any other form of training or exercise other than yoga, right?
I think all of that. I was looking and I was like, I love movement, but I was so bad at sport growing up. I think that's why I'm just like, I hated sport. Like I wish I could do it. And then this is like my version of sport. So being able to move my body, and like growing up was never like active. I was always like the well done medal person, like that everyone gets, who was like running last. And so besides dance, I grew up dancing, so ballet, so movement has always been there, but nothing where it was like running or like things like that. So I think now that I get into it, it really does help me bring that knowledge into the yoga classes as well. Like when we have people, like for example in the gym, and trying to make it relatable. So understanding, okay, this movement or this asana, this posture is going to help you do the squat. And I understand what a squat feels like because I've done it. Whereas it's harder if you're trying to imagine. But those kinds of things. And I love moving my body and feeling empowered and feeling great afterwards. But I think that comes from wanting to be like that for so long. The first time I came into the gym, I was like, man, I just want to like be like super fit. I want to be able to do like push-ups and like squat jumps and all those cool things. And then eventually you just start to get into it, and eventually you do it. But you stick at it because it feels good, and letting go of things you don't like. So Les Mills was my entry into the gym, and I wouldn't do it now, but it's a great entry level. Like it's a great way to enter if you've never done it before. So I started like on the treadmill, and I was like, man, this is kind of boring for me. I was like, I'm so bored, but it was good. And then I went into these group fitness classes, and the energy was insane. So it's people like you're doing your thing, but that other person's doing their thing as well, and like the instructor's really cool. But I put a lot of like being able to coach verbally thanks to Les Mills. They have phenomenal coaching because they can't get off the stage and get off and like adjust or stop the class. Like you have to keep going. So pulling that in with being able to put your own classes together, choreograph your own classes or program your own classes, it was just like the best combination. So I'm really thankful for Les Mills. And getting in that way.
It's really cool how we draw as coaches. We draw like, I'll take a little bit of that. I'll take a bit of that. Okay, treadmill boring. Okay, I won't recommend that. Like, right? And
different people have different interests. Like some people love just staying on the treadmill. And I was like, I can't. That's fine.
And that's okay as well. Like if you're just cardio game, why not? What are your training goals?
Training goals now, I think I just want to get more endurance. I think last time you asked me, I was like, lose weight. But I was like, no, now it's more endurance and agility. and definitely with boxing, like improving my technique. I just think boxing and yoga for me are like the best combination. I
Okay.
get the same sort of like zen feeling when I'm in boxing because it's part of like all the martial arts and everything like that. It has a really big element of philosophy and spirituality when you look at the basis, I guess. But
Boxing does?
I guess I don't know. It comes from like I'm just assuming, but I feel because it's so rhythmic. It's
Yeah.
rhythmic and it's like you can get immersed into a combo, and I want to be able to improve my technique so it actually flows a lot more. And that was the same as with yoga. You should have seen when I first started. I didn't know how to do a chaturanga. I was like, man, my arms are hurting. Like
Yeah.
now you just flow through it. But everyone starts somewhere, and I think that's what people need to remember. And it really humbles you as a teacher and a coach when you see that everyone's starting somewhere, and you do a move now, it's just like, oh, it's so easy, but you forget what it's like when you first started. So it takes you back to that, and some days like you can get frustrated, be like, just do it. And you're like, wait, hold on, there's a reason why they're not doing it. You're not teaching properly, so let's come back into it and reset. And
That's a really good perspective.
yeah, I caught myself so many times. And again, that I put that back to yoga, having that higher sense of awareness. Some days when you're tired and you're just like, come on, just do it. It's like, hang on, there's a reason why they're not following, because you're obviously not teaching properly. So reset, catch yourself, and just get yourself back on the ground, like ground yourself a bit
Yeah.
and come back to it. And then, yeah.
When we reach that level of coaching, I think it's a new level unlocked, because then we realize it actually all falls back on us.
Yes.
It's our responsibility and it's our duty to
Absolutely.
our athletes or our
Yeah.
clients, to make sure that they're progressing properly,
Yeah.
or that we're regressing or individualizing or
Yeah.
doing the best that we can to help them out.
Yeah.
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 For all those coaches out there getting cranky
You
at
cannot
their
get cranky
at
at
their
your
clients, right? Or their
Absolutely
athletes. Yeah.
not. You
Yeah.
can't. And it's like going from different places, having different ability levels, teaching at a yoga studio where people are dedicated to yoga versus maybe going to a gym where it's like 1 day a week where they do that. It's a different kind of ability or a different feeling when you come in, but you still have to treat the class. Whoever is in front of you, you need to be able to adapt to it. And like I really could understand now what the difference between like coaching and teaching versus telling someone what to do and just demonstrating it. So you could tell them to do this and they know they need to have their shoulders over their wrists, but what if they don't have any body awareness? How do you get them into the position that you're trying to, and like really step by step explain everything so they completely understand it and they can achieve it? You can't just be like, put your like hips higher or tuck your tailbone under. Like, but how? And then when you can break it down, I think that's when coaching really comes in, and telling them exactly how in a way that they can understand. And you would change that depending on who's in front of you so that that individual person can understand and end up with the same result.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah.
And it could be tactile, like we
Yeah.
could be helping them, obviously checking permission. All right, do you mind if I adjust your shoulders? Okay, this is where we're going. Or
Yeah.
sometimes it's verbal, or sometimes it's just
Visual.
demo. Yeah,
Yeah.
visual. It's like, all right, no, let's pause, have a
Yeah.
look at this. And then a level that helped me a lot is when I realized we're not all visual learners.
Yes.
We're not all tactile. We're not
Yes.
all, whatever the third one is. What?
Verbal.
Verbal. We're not all
Yeah.
verbal. Because sometimes it could be like, yo, all right, I need you to think about retracting or swooping or bringing
and
back.
they're like, what's a
What-
swoop?
what does that even
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
But then, like, you help them with a tactile cue, and then they're like, why don't you just say, I got it, I got
Yeah.
you now. Yeah.
Yeah, like for example, for me the other day in boxing, it was like, okay, you need to like punch through the pad, and I was like, I still don't get it. And then or something, and then it was explained like a ball and chain, and then I was like, ball and chain, like it's a whatever, like that kind of action.
Like,
I was
wrecking
I get
ball,
it. Yeah. I was
Miley
like,
Cyrus.
Now I get it. And I was like, cool. I was like, why didn't you say that in the beginning? No. But
Yeah.
I think it's also really important to go to and have like, go to other classes, go to different sessions and mix it up, because you forget what it's like sometimes to be a student.
Yeah.
A friend asked me the other day, he asked if yoga teachers go to other yoga teachers' classes. And I'm like, absolutely. Like, it's nice not to think. You go in there and you just flow and practice. Like, yes, we have our own practices, but it's different to go back and to be a student again. There are things that we forget all the time. And to be inspired by the way that they teach, or they maybe have a better cue than what you're using, or they're adding different things that you've forgotten about. So it's definitely refreshing, and that goes back down to supporting each other as well, and
Yeah.
enjoying each other's knowledge.
So many benefits.
Oh,
I
yeah.
asked that question to a lot of my friends and other coaches
Yeah.
out there, and more times than not, they come back and they go, yeah, I've got a coach, and like whatever their field is, right?
Yeah.
Like my remedial massage therapist, I'll ask
Mhm.
her, and she's like, yeah, I go all the time. I have
Yeah.
frequent book, like I go in
Yeah.
every second, third week. My physio, I'll be like, yep, do you ever go physio? Like, yeah, man. Like,
Yeah.
we're not superheroes. Like,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
need physio and things like that.
Yeah,
One of the best
absolutely.
things that I've invested in over the last X amount of time was getting myself a coach for strength training. Because same thing, I've outsourced all of the thinking. I don't need to worry about what I'm doing, and it's next level with accountability as well. Because I
Yeah.
don't have to. I'm not just talking to myself.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry, Svet, you'll just do it next week. It's like, no, I know that I'm letting myself down. I'm letting my coach down because he's putting the time in programming and
Mhm.
helping me out with strength training. So I don't wanna let him down. Like for
Yeah.
example, anyway,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
no, it's completely true.
I try and fit it in, and it helps me.
Yeah.
Helps me a lot.
Yeah, I think self-care is so important. So one of the things,
Self-care.
yeah, self-care is a huge thing, and for me, chiro has always been a big thing. Like I've realized I've been doing it for 10 years now. I've had the same chiro originally my boss when I worked there, and then since then I've been going every fortnight or every 3 weeks. More recently, last year was acupuncture. I was going every single week, and it was amazing. I was like, I don't want to get sick. I cannot get sick because then I can't teach my classes and blah, blah, blah. But I really wanted, I'm like, I use my body now so much more. I need to look after it a lot
Yeah.
more than I was then. And then I had a break about like maybe 3 or 4 months of no acupuncture. I was going from like every single week, and then over the Christmas period it stopped, and then I came back and I was in so much pain. I was like, my jaw hurts, like I can't sleep. Went back to acupuncture and it was just amazing, and I fell asleep again. So finding things that that really resonate with you in terms of self-care. But speaking of Reiki,
Talk about self-care.
yeah,
I like to, yeah.
let's talk about that.
Let's go. So we did a Reiki session
Yeah.
together. I don't even know what Reiki is.
And I was like,
but-
oh my God, here's the question. What is Reiki? I was like, yeah, prepare yourself, Nica.
No.
What is it? I
Well-
can't even explain it.
Well, okay. What
It's
do you mean?
so
I'm
challenging
sure
to
it's
explain.
challenging.
So I can like give you like the textbook version.
You don't have to.
I'm not gonna-
I mean, we did the Reiki sesh together. That
Yeah.
was my first ever Reiki sesh. You
Yeah.
sold it to me by telling me that my favorite athlete has it on
Yeah,
his shoe.
I was like, whose shoe
I was
is
like,
this?
all right, Novak Djokovic
Yep,
does
yep.
this.
It has the chocolate
I'll
on
try it. Yeah. Yeah.
So Reiki, just I guess as a blanket statement, it's an energy, it's a deep relaxation technique or energy healing. When we say healing, we're not talking about healing a broken arm that got severed. Like that's not what's happening here. It's
Yeah.
like you're healing the energy, you're moving energy in that sense. So it's quite young. It's 100 years old. Founded in Japan by Mikao Usui. I fell into it. I didn't mean to do my Reiki training. But it was really interesting because at the start of last year, I said to my best friend, who's very spiritual, I said, I feel like I'm going through some sort of spiritual awakening or something like that. I feel like something next level is coming for me, but I don't know what it is. It turned out to be Reiki because it's just one thing that I fell into. So maybe you can share your experience of what Reiki was like.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I've done a little bit of yoga as well,
Mm-hmm.
and I kick myself every time I chat about this because at ZAR, our classes clash. So
Oh, yeah.
you're teaching yoga to our community at the same time as I am downstairs. So otherwise I would be, this is the world's worst excuse, but I would be joining in heaps more classes.
Yeah, that's okay.
Anyway.
I teach elsewhere at other times.
Okay.
You know.
See what I mean? Terrible excuse. But in the past when I have practiced yoga like consistently, I felt great.
Yeah.
At the time, I was still training a lot, lots of strength training. I was running, I was cycling, and it was like physically next level for me because I felt a lot more flexible.
Yeah.
I used to practice it Friday morning before the weekend, and
Yeah.
I'd go into the weekend with like this really recharged mindset, like
Yeah.
physically and mentally. I was like, I was ready. So,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I used to do it at like 6 a.m. on a Friday. I was like,
That's so good. Great way to start the weekend.
anyway, so other than this little bit of yoga here and there, I haven't done much. And then I thought, we've got the podcast coming up.
Yeah.
What a good opportunity to go try it with you and then figure out what it is.
Yeah. So Reiki is like it's a different modality from yoga, but it's you can fuse it with yoga. So you could do You can do it on its own. So it's technically not within the philosophy of yoga, but it's a complementary modality within that. So like Reiki, if you ever looked at someone having Reiki, it's literally like someone's laying down on their back and the practitioner's drawing symbols on their body. It sounds so crazy, and it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna draw some symbols in the air and be like, woo, and like now you're gonna feel amazing. But how does it work? Because nothing's happening. You hardly touch me. So what is this?
Yeah.
It's the best way that I can explain it. It's like energy is real. Like we're all made out of energy, and you can feel when someone walks into the room whether they're like great energy, they just light up the room, or someone's near you and you're like, not my kind of person.
Okay.
So you can feel that intuition and that energy from a person. But in terms of Reiki, the best way I can explain it is, when you feel sad and someone puts their hand on your shoulder, they say, "Are you okay?" And that's just, even if they don't say anything, that touch is comforting in itself. So imagine that, but amplified and focused on specific areas of the body or specific like chakras. We use like the 7 main ones, but there are chakras all over the body. Or like in your case, I was drawn to certain areas of your body that I didn't necessarily know why until we spoke about it afterwards. But for me, physically, I could feel maybe a little bit more heat coming off your body or a bit more tingling. But as a practitioner, and it changes for everyone, but really trusting where you're going to go. It's like, okay, you've done your symbols, you've done like your hand positions where you generally go. And then if you're drawn to the shoulder, go to the shoulder and just observe and just feel what's happening here. So, yeah.
That part was like one of my favorite bits about the Reiki practice that you and I did.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you anything about areas of my body that are feeling injured or are more sensitive than others in terms of pain. So my left shoulder has been giving me a little bit of drama. Nothing major, but it's been annoying and letting me know. It's giving me feedback that it's hurting.
Yeah.
The left side of my lower back and my right knee.
Yes.
And I think it was about halfway through the Reiki session, like you say, you were on like my knee. And I remember thinking, I was like, what is going on? Like, this is exactly where my right knee, left side of my lower back, and my left shoulder. And the fascinating thing for me was, like, you didn't touch my right shoulder. It was just the left. I'm like, I think Nick has figured something out. And then, like, you didn't touch the right side of my lower back. It was the left side of my lower back, which is the area that's been hurting. And my ACL football injury was my right knee. Again, you didn't touch my left knee. It was like on the right. I was like,
it was really
mind
interesting.
Blown.
So like the knees like it was a lot stronger. So I knew you had a knee injury. I just didn't know which knee. But then I could physically feel it. I was drawn to this side of the body. So when I start, I just do like, if you ever see me upstairs, like with a client, and I'm just like hovering over them, it's because I'm like, it looks so strange. People are like, what is she doing? Like, I'm feeling the energy, because you can feel different parts where it's like warmer or cooler, or like you're just like, I need to go back there for some reason. So when I was doing that on your legs, I could feel it. I was like, okay, knee. I was like, I feel really drawn to the knee. I'm like, I just have to keep going back there. And then I was like, oh yeah, is it this knee or is it that knee? So I would just like go from one knee to the other knee. Your right knee felt a lot warmer, more tingling, and there was less energy coming out of the left knee. But the interesting part about the shoulder and the lower back was I was just drawn to those areas and not drawn to the other shoulder. So I won't go there. I'll just go here. But I didn't know. But the knees, I specifically was like, okay, is it this one or is it this one?
Okay.
But the shoulder and the lower back, I just wasn't drawn to the other parts. But I knew I had to go here, but I didn't necessarily know why.
Yeah.
And sometimes you do at the end, or we check all the chakra, the energy centers, like to see which ones are open and which ones are closed. And it's really interesting because sometimes like an energy center, say the solar plexus, which is all about like your drive, your passion, like your drive, serving others. So if you're in a position where you're constantly working for others or serving others, but you're not taking time to fill your cup, there could be an imbalance of your energy center. But I don't necessarily have to focus on this area to figure out what is missing or what's causing this to be a little bit out of balance. Like sometimes it's in your knees or in your ankles. But yeah, so it's in different parts of the body that will reveal a little bit more.
Real fascinating stuff. Like that, there was so many cool things about it. That was the big one for me.
Yeah.
Tell me about these chakras.
Yes.
Tell me everything I need to know.
Yeah, so there's 7 main ones. So chakras are
so-
basically energy points.
Energy points.
Yeah.
Probably a really silly question, right?
Okay.
And I hear the word chakras getting thrown around,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
just for those of us that are clueless yogis,
Mm-hmm.
what energy points? There's 7 of them.
There's 7 main ones. So energy points, they can also be, they're similar to the meridian points that acupuncturists use when they do their acupuncture needles. So there's 7 main ones in the center of the body. So I still don't know enough about it to be able to really speak on the topic. But there are 7 main energy centers that range from the base of your spine all the way to the crown of your head.
Mm-hmm.
And each chakra has a specific meaning. And the best way, maybe an easy example, is your throat chakra. So your throat energy center is the center of communication. So there are sometimes moments where you feel like you want to say something, but you can't. It feels like something's holding you back. Your throat is closed up. So that if we were to check the chakra, it's most likely closed, and it can manifest into physical things. So if you Google it, it comes up with all this stuff. But say a blocked throat chakra, mentally, emotionally, you're unable to say what you want to say, or you have difficulty communicating what you want to say in a way that's easy to understand or is comprehensible from someone else, or you're getting frustrated because you're trying to explain something to someone but they're not understanding it. The flow of communication is blocked.
Okay.
So those would be indications of something's happening here. Physically, it could also come in as TMJ, or you've got ulcers, mouth ulcers coming through. So when I got Reiki done from one of my good friends, she's like, your throat chakra is really blocked. She's like, it's really blocked because she could also see images, and she's like, the metaphor that I see is like a sandbag, like a bag of sand being weighted down in your throat, and underneath the sand was a lot of sadness. And so I was like, I don't feel sad. But then when I think about it and I look back on it now, at the time I had really bad jaw problems, and I had 4 mouth ulcers that came out of nowhere, and just so much of that. And really I'll share with you, what it turned out to be was that just I had one of my, in my personal life, I wasn't able to explain what I wanted to say to this person. And because I wasn't able to do it, or our communication was off, because I was actually sad underneath, and I didn't realize that. And that was all manifesting within my throat chakra. So it's pretty deep. I still can't explain everything because I don't know enough about it, but there's 7 main points from the root to the crown.
So say in this example that you've shared with me, Reiki then helps with the recharging that energy point, or it helps heal that energy point? Or?
It depends on the level of it's like layers. So it's more it depends. So it can heal it, or it can move the energy, or bring you awareness to that spot. So in my case, I said, okay, well now, there's extra energy that was put there, kind of moved it a little bit. But if I don't fix the root of the problem, which my problem was communicating within that relationship, then it's going to continue to stay blocked, because the thing that's causing it to be blocked is no longer there, is still there.
Yeah.
So until you remove it, then you will be able to communicate freely. So it's bringing a sense of awareness. Reiki itself can add energy and clear out some of it, but if it's a very, very deep scar or a wound or emotional body that's emotion that's stuck within the body, it can take a long time to clear.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really depends.
It's really fascinating stuff. Every time I chat to you about it, I always think, man, I know nothing about this stuff. And it's really good learning for me, because then maybe I can share it with some of our community members.
It's one of those things where you have to experience. Even I struggle to explain it, because it's so hard. I can say it's all these symbols that we float on top of your body, press energy in, what?
Yeah.
Come on.
So you've got yoga practice. You've got yoga school for becoming a yoga coach.
Yes.
But then in addition to that, you've got Reiki practice, and you become a Reiki practitioner.
Yes.
It was founded in Japan 100 years ago. I didn't know that. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So then what
how
happened?
do you become a Reiki practitioner, kind of thing?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to chat about that, yes. And then how do you know when? Is there a criteria? When do you practice yoga with your clients, and when do you decide to do Reiki?
On clients, kind of thing?
Yeah, or why would you suggest Reiki to someone?
Okay. A few questions. So
I don't mean to bombard you because
No,
I'm
that's
just trying to
okay.
get my head around like,
Yeah.
okay, like this is yoga. That can be
Yeah.
like in yoga you've got yin yoga, you've got
Like,
flow,
yeah, so you got vinyasa, all
vinyasa.
the different kinds. But
Yeah.
so Reiki, anyone can become a Reiki practitioner.
Okay.
It depends on the level of, I think your intuition plays a lot of it. Like there are certain people who are born with a higher sense of intuition and that connection. But everyone can learn. So to be a Reiki practitioner, you have to learn through a Reiki master. That's what it's called.
Okay.
And then you look at the lineage of like, okay, who's connected to who, like who was trained by who. So basically there's 3 to 4 levels that you can go through as a practitioner. There's level 1 Reiki, level 2. So I'm a level 2 Reiki practitioner. There's level 3, and then level 4 is master level. So as a level 1 Reiki practitioner, every time you do your training, you learn certain symbols and you get an attunement. So an attunement is kind of like they do symbols over you, and it kind of opens your, I'd say, your energetic body up to like the next level, so you feel more attuned to the energy around you. And when we did level 1, my friends and I did it with our Reiki master. I was like, yeah, I can't wait for my attunement. I'm going to be able to see all of the auras. Like, everyone's going to be glowing. I can see, like, I wonder what I'll get to see. It was kind of like expecting to see those hidden things that, like, glitter. I was thinking I'd see you glowing with colors. I got my attunement. I was like, I feel the same. It was like nothing. It's a gradual process. It doesn't work that way. It's kind of up-leveling you energetically to notice these things a little bit more. And you only, when you do level 1 training, you can do Reiki on yourself, and you learn, I think, certain symbols. I do it sometimes on myself, but I prefer someone else to do it to me because I think I just get too distracted. Level 2, you learn how to do Reiki through distance. So you can do distance Reiki because energy, it can travel through space and time. And that's what these like tattoos on me are. So if you know the person, know where they are, what they look like, their name, you can tap into their energy field no matter where you are in the world because everyone's connected. So you learn that in level 2 Reiki, and then level 3 you learn more, and then level 4 then you can give attunements to other people. But you get these attunements every time, and it's just like leveling up in an energetic sense. So that's how you become a Reiki practitioner. To know when you're ready to offer this to clients, I think you've got the skills, and then for me, it was just like trusting that I wanted to just try. I was like, I'm just going to hire a room. I just want to like try this, see how I go. I booked out like maybe 5 or 6 people in one day.
And what did you find?
Oh my God, like everything was just so exciting for me. So my main goal was like, okay, I need to see what my capacity is. If I can do 5 or 6 clients in a day, like 1 hour each back to back, what my energy was like. But the coolest thing for me was that, I went into it being like, as long as they feel relaxed or something, like that would be the best outcome for me, is that they leave feeling relaxed and like recharged somehow. And that I remembered to put my hands in the right spots. The coolest thing was that every single person, I was started to see like images popping up, or like random phrases would come through into my head, or colors. So one person I saw a waterfall, someone else I'd see sunflowers popping up, and I was like, what are these images? Why are they coming? Like, why can I see them?
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
How do you do you see them like with your eyes open? You see them, or your eyes closed? Your
My eyes are closed,
and you can see it.
Yeah, literally I look like this.
Okay.
Like that's literally what I look like. So sometimes I open my eyes, but a lot of the times I have to close my eyes to really focus.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a black screen, and it's almost like watching a montage.
Okay.
So it depends on how open that person is and how. If they're closed, I remember seeing one client. I was like brick wall, and I was like, oh. I literally saw a brick wall, and I was like, okay.
You're kidding? You actually saw a brick wall?
Yeah, I saw a brick wall. So I see
this person's guarded.
Yeah, and I was like, okay.
There ain't no waterfalls or rainbows.
Yeah, no. So and it's that, and it's seeing these different things, but it's like watching a montage come through. But it was when I spoke to them afterwards, I'm like, oh yeah, I saw these like images, blah, blah, and they're like, yeah, it really relates, really resonates, or phrases. And every single person was different. And I was like, is it because I know this person that I'm seeing these things? But it changed for every person. It was so different. And the more I trusted myself, just like when I told you, I'm like, this is all the stuff that I know. It's up to you to then interpret it and feedback to me. And I can help you interpret it more. But I'm not going to tell you this is exactly what it is because I don't know that.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing this. Sometimes I can feel it if it's very intense. I've had a few.
I
I've had
like
clients,
how you were like,
yeah.
this is what I saw. Go Google it. Figure
Yeah,
it
yeah.
out.
I
You're
was like, go Google it, because I don't know. I really don't
I'm
know.
like, okay, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna go Google
Yeah.
a bunch of. But I like that approach because you're not
Yeah.
like really sitting there interpreting. This
No
means this.
way.
It's like this is what I saw.
Yeah.
It's on you
I
now.
was like, you have to look up the symbolism of whatever animal that I saw, because I
Yeah.
am not Google. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. But what I can tell you
really
is
like
this
that.
is what I saw.
Yeah.
Here you go, and do some more reflection after it. But I do have clients that come back monthly, and their progression is insane.
What sort of progression? What do
So,
you see?
for example, I have one of my one client. So she came in. She works in a very intense job, and so when she came in to see me, she was very there was a weight, there was heaviness on her. And after the first session, she started to add in a bit more things, like more meditation. Like she created a morning practice for herself.
Okay.
So increasing the awareness, lifting off heavy things, and being able to really tune into yourself. And then coming the month after, every session is different. Every layer is removed, and learning more, awareness, and then adding different practices, maintaining practices. And now she thinks she's doing her Reiki training. So
Wow.
yeah,
It
so
helped
she
her
feels
that much.
yeah, she feels so light. I've had clients who've come in, and they feel like something is heavy is just sitting on them, and they can't shake it. They just don't know why they don't feel like themselves. And we all go through these days. We're like, why don't we feel like ourselves? You're like, I don't want to feel this way, but I can't get myself out of a funk. And sometimes it's just a heavy sense of something needs to be released out of you, and those are the things that you have to experience it, or more than explaining it. But yeah, so
Yeah.
definitely clients who come back monthly to maintain. It's like one other client said, it's like cleaning your house, but you're cleaning yourself, energetic wise. You don't want to do it, but you come in, you clean the house, and it feels great when you come back home. It's like we spend so much time physically cleaning our bodies, making sure we're strong.
Yeah.
But and
Hydration,
then hydration,
protein,
yeah,
strength.
that's it.
Yeah.
Eating healthy, and
Sleep.
and then there's breath work, Reiki. All of those things are cleaning your energetic field, your mind, your breath that moves through the body. So Reiki cleans out your energy, basically. Cleans out, reboosts,
Reiki
whatever you
cleans out your
need.
energy.
It
Yeah.
can, yeah.
So,
So we move energy as well.
so what? Sorry, you go. You move
I was
energy.
you can probably hear me breathing a lot.
Yes.
You heard me
I
breathing
could
a
hear you
lot.
breathe, yeah.
So sometimes I'm physically going like this,
Yeah.
and just moving, even though I can't see it.
So my experience with the whole thing, it was that was fascinating because I love obviously healing and helping
Yeah.
people with physical injuries. So that was fascinating for me, the fact that you went to my injury site. But then the other thing was it was super relaxing. And then
Yeah.
at one point, my breath work just went to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
That was a really cool experience. All of a sudden I could feel
It was intense. I could
it's
hear you
really,
breathing.
really hard to put into words, but it was the first time in a long time I just started going full air in 100%, full air out 100%.
Yeah.
And me putting this into words doesn't do it justice for
Yeah.
what that, how relaxing that was, or how chilled it was.
Yeah.
I had
It was from
really
when I
good.
held your ankles, hey?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think, it was when you held my ankles.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, I felt like that was next level. I was like, oh, maybe this is
Yeah.
what Reiki is. Because I went in fully relaxed. Remember, I messaged you. I'm like, do I need to practice becoming a monk?
Yeah.
Before,
No, just be
before-
open-minded.
Yeah. So I tried to go, look, I'm not going to overthink this. I'm
Yeah.
just going with the flow. And it was
Yes.
a really cool experience.
Yeah. The more you're open, the
Yeah.
easier it is to accept it. Of course, it's if you're going to be like, no, it's not going to work, then it's not gonna
Yeah,
work
you're
for
not going to
you.
get anything out of it. So I was really careful not to do that. I was just full open mind, chill.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I'd yeah, it
was really cool.
Really cool. What I'm trying to wrap my head around is when should someone do yoga and when should someone do yogi if they're just
Yeah. A Reiki.
every day. Do Reiki.
yeah.
Yoga versus Reiki. If someone's just at home not doing anything
Oh,
and
it's-
trying to figure out which one should I go attend,
Yeah,
or which
I
path
would-
should I go down? How did
Yeah.
is there some criteria or something that you could suggest?
It really does depend on what they want, but I would suggest yoga first.
Yoga
if they're
first.
sitting around, because Reiki is not a physical thing.
Yeah.
If you're wanting to get more mobility, get off your feet, and actually have a physical movement practice, then I'm not going to recommend Reiki, because
Yeah.
Reiki is an energetic practice. So if you're trying to get more mobile, get more flexible,
Yeah.
get fitter.
Posture, get fitter, yeah.
I'm not going to recommend Reiki.
Yoga's, yeah.
It would be it would be complementary to yoga. I would 100% say try yoga first, because within yoga, it's a huge philosophy. So there's like your physical asanas plus your breath work plus like your awareness of, do no harm to yourself and others, plus all of that stuff. So Reiki would be complementing that.
Yeah.
When I would tell someone to try Reiki, it could be when they've tried, they're practicing yoga, they've got all their things organized. Like, I think everyone should try Reiki at least once. It won't work for everyone. Like other modalities work for some people, not for others. But if they're practicing all these things and they still don't feel like they have enough energy, or they just feel kind of off, or they just want to have a little bit, they want to go deeper into their yoga practice, and they want to try a complementary modality, then I'd say absolutely try Reiki. But if you're sitting at home deciding, okay, it comes down to what your wants and needs are. But if you're sitting at home thinking, what should I do first because I want to get off the couch, I would say go do yoga, because Reiki, you're going to be laying down on your back with your eyes closed. You're basically asleep. So,
Yeah.
it's different. Yeah, definitely yoga. Yoga just opens up so many doors and connects you back to Reiki anyway.
Yeah.
And it's all the same. So Reiki, Ki is energy, like life force energy, just like Chi in Tai Chi and what acupuncturists use. And in yoga, that's prana. So life force energy. Prana, Chi, Ki, all the same thing.
All the same thing.
Just from different areas of the world, different modalities, but they're all the same at the base of it.
That's good learning. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I see it. Chi, Tai Chi,
Yeah.
Ki. Okay.
Yeah, Reiki, and then
Okay.
pranayama, like the practice of breath work, prana, moving life force energy through your body.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's all the same, just different ways of approaching it. It's cool.
Super cool.
It's so much
I find
stuff.
it fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what maybe we should talk about, like what people assume yoga teachers are like. It's so
Well, when I think yoga teacher, I do not think like you as a yoga coach. That is fascinating.
Yeah.
Like and I mean that in the best possible way.
Yeah.
I
And
call you a hippie gangster.
Yeah.
You're a spiritual gangster.
Yeah, with
Nica.
no shoes on most of the time.
Yeah, middle of winter,
Yeah.
no worries,
Yeah,
no shoes. I think that's a really cool thing. We should talk about that.
Yeah. So there's obviously different kinds of people and the way they present themselves. But for me, lots of people think yoga teachers or people who practice yoga are super calm. And I was like, why do you think I did yoga in the first place?
Yeah.
Because I needed something that gave me an outlet to calm myself, my mind, my body, everything. I told my brother, and he's like, I thought you were just the weird one. But I was like, no, there's a lot of people who are like this.
Yeah.
I think it's really relatable. So when you look at my stories or what I post online, like I'm pretty open because I want things to be real.
Yeah.
But you'll also see me enjoying like a glass of wine on the weekends, and people are like, but I thought yoga teachers don't drink wine.
Like you're
and
not a monk,
yeah,
Nica?
like I mean, you probably it's all in moderation, but also depends how dedicated you are to the practice and the philosophy.
Yeah.
And if you want to clear your entire body of toxins and do no harm and do all of that, but also you can still practice yoga and still be a yoga teacher and have that perspective on life and still practice yoga off the mat while still doing your other things that make you happy. So I think being relatable as well on that level really helps me to connect to others. Like you don't have to be wearing white linen every day.
Yeah.
I don't even wear white. I mainly wear black.
Yeah.
So, it's the assumptions of what a yoga teacher should be. There's a guy on Instagram called Yogi Brian. He's so funny, and he's just takes
I think you've shared. You've shared some of his stuff.
funny.
Yeah.
And it's just don't take it so seriously. It's just yoga, but it depends on how you approach everything and your personality, letting it shine.
I think you're the coolest yoga yoga coach I've ever met. Yeah, but part of when you finish your yoga class, I hear you put gangster rap on. And I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah.
And not just that, but so
Yeah.
many things. And I think
It's like Beyonce.
like Beyonce comes on, or your favorite rap song? What's his name?
yeah.
Afro Man.
Oh God, I'm not gonna play that in the video. I'll play it after. I'll play it after class.
I'm just kidding.
Could you imagine?
Before the podcast went live, Nica was rapping out here for real. But the other thing that I think is worthwhile chatting about is a lot of us are stuck in, I'm not fit enough to do yoga.
Yeah.
I'm like, I tried yoga once. It hurt my wrist. It felt too full on. It was too hard. I felt, and I think a lot of the time it's internal.
Oh, yeah.
From our members and our people that I've worked with. They're like, oh, I'm not fit enough for it. Why? Because it was just too much. So maybe they didn't have the best experience. Maybe the coach wasn't on a high level and didn't individualize it. But what do you have to say to that in terms of like just
I see it all the
yeah.
time. I see it all, like, so the biggest thing that yoga, it's letting go of ego and letting go and connecting to your higher self. So when that happens, when we go into a yoga practice, like, yes, the practice can be very strong. It's physically taxing sometimes, but it's, what is your mind saying to you if you can't get this particular pose? You don't have to do that pose. You can take a modification. Let's take like tree pose, for example, one of those balanced postures where, you have your hands up and you can choose to have your foot on the ground or maybe up to your thigh. If you're pushing so hard to get your foot up on your thigh because you want to balance for the sake of balancing, you're not practicing yoga, you're just doing a cool pose. It's surrendering, being like, okay, no, today in this moment, I can't get my foot onto my thigh, so I'm going to keep my foot on the ground and still embody the posture and the asana of tree pose, but I'm not going to let my ego and my frustrations take over and ruin my experience. So you'll often hear me say in my classes, like, let go of ego, let go of your frustrations. It's okay if you can't do this pose today. Every single day is different, but just acknowledge where you are, and this is your pose today. And I think reiterating that, because we become our own worst critics. And especially when you're going into a class and it's your first time and other people, you don't know how long the other person next to you has been practicing for. They're flowing on their mat. It looks like magic. And you're like, I just want to do that, but I'm struggling here. My wrists are hurting. Everyone starts somewhere, but let's let go of that, be vulnerable. Be like, okay. That's why I share a lot of those like bloopers on my Instagram.
Yeah.
Like when the flow that I was doing up here and I came into a bridge pose and I was like, I'm literally stuck. Like, I can't get out of this. And so, like, I just let myself fall. And if you see all of the outtakes, it's just me trying over and over again, but surrendering to it as well. Not letting myself get frustrated. Because the alternative was I could have gotten stuck in the bridge and just gotten so frustrated, being like, I'm a bad teacher. Like, I can't do this. I can't do a headstand. Like, why can't I do this? And then that's not me practicing that awareness. And that's going to hold me back from then developing as a yoga practitioner and my teacher, as a student. So that's one of the biggest things to learn in the beginning when you're practicing, is that we let go of ego and expectations. So, yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah.
Because that speaks lots for my world in the strength game. Because the biggest battle is ego and us being stuck in, nah, bro, I need to lift heavy. And I only need to lift heavy today and not next week or the week after. Give me more. I can do more.
Yeah, it's like, why?
And it's the same thing, because it leads to physical injuries.
Yep.
And here it can lead to physical frustrations or emotional things.
Yeah. Oh, so many.
Yeah. Wow, Nica, I've never thought of it in that perspective. I really like that. It's like a mindset build.
Huge.
Yes, your wrists are going to hurt, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, like maybe your wrists are going to hurt.
Yeah,
not everyone's
not in a
wrists are
bad
hurt.
way. Like, it's uncomfortable.
That's probably the biggest one that I've heard from our community is not lately, but over the years of oh, I did it, but no, you see, I have this thing with my wrists and I couldn't do it. I'm like, all that is like you're not conditioned to spend that much time on the floor.
Yeah, you're not conditioned, or you're not like, there's certain like activations that you can do in your muscles. Like we know that, but it's the frustrations of, I can't do this.
Really like that.
I give up, or yoga's not for me because I can't touch my toes. It's like, but why do you need to touch your toes?
Yeah.
If you can feel the length in the back of your legs and you're feeling the same amount of intensity with your hands up to your knees if you're reaching forward versus someone who's touching their toes, that's all that matters, is that your intensity is, you're reaching your level of intensity, not whether you can touch your toes or not. And I hear it all the time. Like, I'm not flexible. Like, I need to be more flexible.
I'm
it's like,
not flexible enough for yoga. Or I'm not fit enough.
It comes through, flexibility comes as a byproduct. For example, I was doing another posture and I was like, oh, I'm going to try this posture. I haven't done it before, like, for a long time. And I'm not actively trying to learn this posture. And I was like, I'm just going to test my flexibility. Where is it? And then I was like, okay, so it's there. I'm definitely a lot more flexible than I was before, but not because I was intentionally doing that. I was practicing yoga with the intention of doing other postures. And it's it's just like weight loss, I guess, and like the physical stuff, like you're lifting weights, like your arms become more toned, everything kind of tones, or like the aesthetics come second as a byproduct of what you're doing, unless you're like doing it for like comps and stuff like that, whatever. But like I don't even know how to talk about that. But you know what I mean? Like
I do know what you mean.
It's a byproduct.
Yeah.
Flexibility is a byproduct of yoga. It's not the intention.
Like putting your ego aside, putting your frustrations aside,
Yeah.
and being real with where you are right now.
Yes,
Like
being real with
where you are right now is, that's your body's telling you that you're weak right now, or stiff, or immobile, and that's okay.
And
like we can individualize that, and you can start, and it will gradually get better.
Yeah.
So it's a really mindset power up, like a mindset
It is.
recharge by itself.
Yeah. And
Wow.
the observation, it's like, okay, so observe your breath, observe what's happening, observe your thoughts, but don't analyze it. And that's a hard practice to do sometimes. It's just like you notice one thing about yourself, like, okay, I'm really wobbly, like, why can't I get this? I'm getting frustrated. And then like the observation would be like, okay, I'm getting frustrated. I need to calm down. Let's reset and just take a moment. And then slowly, those gaps of frustration become smaller and smaller, so you can nip it in the bud straight away. And then it becomes a process and second nature. Like, of course, everyone gets frustrated. Everyone has an ego. You can't ever get rid of your ego, but knowing that you can identify your ego, because when you can't identify your ego, then it gets lost. But knowing when to identify it, knowing when it can play a little bit, or like pulling it back, but you are aware of it. And that's the one thing I'll always say is, like, for me personally, the greatest gift yoga gave me was a heightened sense of awareness. So whether that's in work, relationships, friendships, myself as a person, that awareness has helped me really pinpoint what I want and what I should go for, or what I can let go of. And yeah, awareness is key for everything, because it stems to other things.
Awareness is key for everything.
Awareness is so key. Because without awareness, like, imagine driving with your eyes closed. Like, far out.
Yeah.
Zero awareness, you're going to die.
I really like that, Nica. I want to, if it's okay with you, I want to end our podcast here because that is a badass way to finish. Yeah.
Yeah. Awareness is key.
Yeah. Thank you so much for dropping in
No
on the
worries.
podcast.
Thank you.
I look forward to doing this together time and time again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nica.
No worries.